And Cynthia? Oh, and Jenny's. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hugh Virtual Chat. Well, it's a little blustery and snowing today in Winnipeg. Of course, we can expect probably these snowfalls until at least Mother's Day. Anyways, I was told that the groundhog did see a shadow, and we are forecasted to have a long, hot, and wonderful summer, so who knows. But anyways, we are talking about vaccines today, so I want to open up the doors to all of our beautiful Hugh Virtual Chat ladies, and I want to hear everybody's opinion. Oh, look at everybody's got sweaters on. Come on, Kirsten. Come on, be tough. I opened up my garage door today. Cynthia, it's snowing. It's just, no. I can't. Oh, and there's Robin. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, you can unmute yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, and let's get on with the topic. That's the topic, right, of everything. It's not, hi, how are you? It's, hi, have you been vaccinated yet? And which vaccine? And where did you go? And how long was the lineup? And who did you get the leftover shots? Ay. Well, I'm going to actually go to Cynthia first, since you are our great over the pond, across the pond correspondent, and I know you're like light years ahead of us here in poor Canada. I mean, this is old news, right? Because almost everybody's vaccinated there, young and old.
Well, it is and isn't old news. I mean, there's still lots of the debate, I think, wherever it's going on. Yeah, I mean, they have hit, for those over 18, 65% of the adult population has now been vaccinated with at least one shot. The big effort's actually to get the second shots in the first group, which are the over 50s. And that I think takes them to about 27 million. And they're on 10.5 million today. And that only started 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So yeah, so now rather than June for my second, which was an AstraZeneca shot, the first 24 hours you feel lousy and then you feel fine. Yeah, so it looks like, most likely by May, I will actually probably gotten my second dose. So yeah.
Fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm curious now, because there's a big rush over here where we are, because they lessened it to 40 and over. So you'll have both your shots by May. So does that just take a huge weight off your shoulders, and you're just going to go running free and wild with no mask, or
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. So, I mean, I've had my one vaccine. Masks and social distancing or physical distancing are still a thing. They're still applied, and still with the hand washing or
hand sanitization.
Hand sanitizer gel, whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's just literally what you do everywhere you go.
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts. It's just what you do into places. So, the rules did relax for outdoors. You can have up to 6 people from different households. So, right. I mean, I've been taking the train. London's only an hour away, so I've been going in and visiting friends. I've had a couple of folks come and visit me here in my town. So I have actually been meeting with people and so forth. And then there's the negotiation. So do you hug? Do we elbow bump? Do we just not do? And, that's really down to a personal preference. I am so starved for human touch that I offer a hug. But along with that is the UK government has also implemented, I can take 2 free lateral flow tests a week. So I'm now actually testing myself twice a week to make sure that with all my interaction, that I am not getting sick and become a carrier, even if I'm asymptomatic. And that's part of the process of opening it up. It's just, you can open it up, but you got to put some other controls in place. And is it perfect? No, but it's better than nothing. And at this point, that's what we're doing. And here they are sophisticated because I ordered on the website. 24 hours later, I got 7 tests, and I do them every 4 to 5 days. And I go on the website, I put in my UK health number and log the details, and it shows up in my health tracking app. And it says, you've been tested, you were negative on these dates. And in between it, it's also tracking every venue that I go into. I scan the barcode into every venue so it knows where I'm at. So if there's ever a positive or with another guest, I also get alerted immediately on that. And that puts me into immediate isolation for 14 days.
Wow. Well, how long do you think that system's going to get to take to Canada? Like sometime 2023? Oh my goodness.
Hopefully not. I mean, really, hopefully not. It's, you know, the vaccines are the first step. And I think at this point, it doesn't really matter which one. Yeah, there's incidences of things that are not good. Here, AstraZeneca is, I think it's the 30 and over or 35 and over is who they're giving it to. So yeah.
Wow.
At this point, I think most people would generally, I'll take a vaccine. Just give me one. I'll take one.
But probably, Cynthia, you know, and hopefully, you know, you are the majority that are doing all of these checks and, you know, using this system that sounds amazing and would definitely help with contact tracing, because that's the biggest thing, right? Is doing all that contact tracing. Robin, I know that you've been vaccinated, and you know that it was a, you know, it wasn't like a yes for sure I'm doing it, because you do have pre-existing health conditions. And so I want to kind of talk about, because we've seen surveys on social media or whatever that other media outlets and radio stations are doing, and there's a huge number of people that are not taking the vaccine. And that could be also people maybe with, again, pre-existing health conditions too. But I mean, it wasn't just a, yeah, for sure, for you, right?
Look, truth be told, it was, okay, I have an option. If I get COVID because of what my heart condition is, chances are I'll die. And so it was kind of like I thought about it, because I had, like, you know, I had some friends who, spooky friends, mediums, go, I don't know about this. And I was like, look, if I get COVID, I'm absolutely dead. So I may as well have a vaccine. And so for me, when I got offered it, like, I went straight away to start finding out where I could get it. And there was, you know, there is the hype about blood clots and this and that. And I'm like, you have a higher rate on birth control of getting a blood clot than you do on AstraZeneca. And I think, like, what highlights stuff for me is that we're watching for side effects of the vaccines, right? Everyone's cognizant of it, everyone's reporting it. But for flu or, you know, any of the other vaccines, we're not reporting in the same way the, like, side effects of it. So we're not actually cognizant of how much other stuff happens or other things. We're only keeping a close eye on it because it's brand new. And then I've heard people, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine who's an ER nurse last night in the US, and she said, I'm not getting it. And I went, what? And she goes, I'm not getting vaccinated because we don't know the long-term effects. And I'm like, true, but we know the long-term effects of COVID, right? And so, like, it was about midnight we were having this conversation, and I was like, that was a really interesting thing. I know that we don't know the long-term effects of the vaccination, and, you know, that's part of why I think some people don't want it. there's all the conspiracy theories running around about the nanobots that are in the vaccine and they're going to be able to follow us. But I mean, in reality, I say something now near my phone and it pops up on Facebook. It goes, oh, you want a photography course? And I'm like, what? Hang on. And I talk to someone about photography. I'm like, if we don't think that stuff's probably happening anyway, like really, test it out. Say something random. I tried some really ridiculous thing the other day. I said, I had my phone, just sitting next to me, and I made some random statement. It popped up on Facebook the next day. And it was like wildly out there. And I went, yeah, I want a better chance of living for me because of my health condition. So I'm going to have it. I took AstraZeneca. I had a bit of a headache that night, and that was it. I hear that sometimes for any of the vaccinations, the second one has people feel a little ickier. But, like there was a huge thing with polio years ago, and we vaccinated people, and it's pretty much like gone. So I'm willing to run the gauntlet and go for it. And I respect people's choice, but then I sit here and go, if I want to go home to Australia, they are talking about saying, unless you're vaccinated, you can't come. And then I hear all these people, that's infringing on my rights. Well, actually, it's not. You have a choice. Like you have a choice. And, I'm like, if I want to go somewhere, I get to make a choice. And I want to go home at some stage. Australia this week,
Yes,
broke my heart. They've been talking about potentially not opening up to lots of international travel until 2024.
wow.
And it broke my heart to see that. And then, they don't think that will be the case, but I'm going to do everything humanly possible to get home and get home healthy. Because I just, this weekend, my great nephews are 15 months old, and they went to their first national football game, and they're there with this huge crowd, and I'm like, I'm here in Canada, stuck in my apartment. What am I doing?
Well, it was beautiful too because they opened up the borders between New Zealand and Australia, and they were just on the news last night showing the airport reuniting and hugging, and it was like you were watching something like, oh wow, it almost looked foreign. It almost looked like, and then you kind of think about it and going, oh my God, how long has it been? It is, it's crazy.
There's like, New Zealand's starting to vaccinate. My understanding is they have Pfizer, but most people are not vaccinated in New Zealand because they shut down. They shut down hard. They get 2 cases, they shut down. Australia had 2 cases in Brisbane and they shut down. Bang. And so I heard one of the federal government people say, like, oh, well, I think it was Ontario government said, well, we're not trying to get to 0. We can't expect that. And I'm like, why not? Other countries have. Like, why not? And then, I'm sorry, I'm hogging the time. I'm very passionate about this because I can't get home. And I just sit here. Australia, their vaccination program is not doing good at the moment. I've been chatting with my mum and she's like, stupid government, I still can't get it. She's like 84. And but they've shut down hard. People have dug it in, even if they didn't want to. And the only cases in Australia over the last, I think, 7 days were cases that came in on international travel.
Yeah.
And I watch my friends in Australia and New Zealand booking flights, and I'm like,
Well,
I'm like,
soon.
I want that here. So
Yeah.
if if we have to shut borders between provinces, and
Mm-hmm.
if we have to like really lock down hard, let's do it instead of playing this. Oh, half do it. Oh, it's gone up again. Oh, let's half. Oh.
I
I,
know.
kudos, kudos. I think Manitoba have done better than most of the
Mm-hmm.
rest of Canada after the second wave. They, you know, hung in there longer with restrictions, and, you know, uh, doing some things early on in this third wave that may be. But hey, what can I say to people? Make a choice for yourself. Do it informed though,
Mm-hmm.
and make the choice that works for you. But if you don't take the vaccine, I'm gonna just put it out there. Don't complain if people won't let you into places.
Yes, most definitely.
You
Well,
can't have it both ways. Well, you might not be able to. I don't know. Sorry, Charlotte. Did I destroy our business by saying my piece?
she's shaking her head right now. I want to. Oh, hi, Jenny. It's so good to see you. So I want you to actually share. Okay, you've been vaccinated too. So kind of share your story and sort of your experience, because I think we're all going to go through our own personal experience like with this.
Yes. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it's great to be here. So I'm 61, which means that for the AstraZeneca, I qualify. However, it's now a month since I had the vaccine, and there's a little clinic close by our house that offers not just medical, but also, sports rehabilitation. And I think there's a gym facility there. It's sort of all in one. And my husband had used this clinic for, he had some rehab stuff that he needed to do. And so then, because he's in the system there, they had said, well, we're opening up this pop up clinic for vaccinations. And you go online and you fill out this form. And so I filled out the form for my husband. And of course, since none of us qualify for any of the options, we all answered no to everything and submitted it. And no surprise, we were denied access to come and get our vaccine. So it's okay. So then I resubmitted for myself and got a response back right away that yes, I was accepted and here's my appointment date and so on. And I believe it was because there was a cancellation, because again, they're using the AstraZeneca vaccines, and because they have to be refrigerated or in the freezer, once the doses come out, unless you use all the doses immediately or within, I don't know how many hours or days or whatever, then whatever's left over has to be thrown out. And so what they're trying to do then in that case is try to get as many people in as possible. So I was able to get my vaccine. And I had no side effects at all. It didn't even hurt going in. And I thought, okay, did he actually put the needle in my arm? And I had someone take a picture of me with them giving me the needle, but my arm was not sore. I had no side effects at all. And I waited to think, okay, well, maybe I'll get side effects. I had none. I had more side effects from when I got the flu shot and had a sore arm. But I was happy to get it for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm in my early 60s, and even though I'm healthy, I don't want to take any chances. But there's also, I have a granddaughter who's 3.5, and my daughter's a nurse and said, basically, even with the flu shot, if you want to see your granddaughter, you make sure that you're getting your shots to make sure that you're healthy. And I'm so glad I did, because even though it's only the first dose, and even though there's information, I don't know who to believe or what to believe. But anyway, what they're saying is that the first dose gives you some protection, but then if we have to wait 4 months, does that reduce the effectiveness of that first dose? And I know that I was talking to someone who has relatives in BC, and they are giving the second dose a lot quicker. And so that makes me think that, first of all, none of the provinces are on the same board as far as vaccine rollout or first and second shot, and is it AstraZeneca, and so on and so forth. But I know that there was some concern about AstraZeneca because they said there's a chance of blood clots, but actually there's more chance of getting a blood clot with COVID. And believe you me, I do not want to contract COVID. And I've heard of people actually getting vaccinated who have dropped their guard, so there are no masks and no social distancing, and it's like, hey, I got my first vaccine shot and I can go out and do whatever I want, and then they still contract COVID.
Yeah.
So we cannot let our guard down until what they say about herd immunity or more people becoming vaccinated. And it's funny because my husband, who eventually was able to receive the vaccine, he contacted his doctor to make an appointment, and the first question they asked was, are you vaccinated? And he was able to say, yes, I am. But if he had said no, could he have then had that appointment? So I think about what Robin was saying in terms of, are they going to be asking for proof of vaccination to travel, to go to a gym? Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. So it's just crazy. But all I can say is I'm glad I was able to get my vaccine, and I'm still following all the protocols to make sure that I'm safe and I keep others safe as well.
Wow, you make it very, very, I'll just say interesting. So, okay, I'm going to now talk a little bit, as I've heard, and it certainly hasn't happened to my father, but like the parents that are in their, late 70s, early 80s, maybe even older, and they don't want any needles, like refuse, none, flat out. And that then gets into the whole family kind of unit too in conversation. So, I want to go to our family experts here, Kirsten and Charlotte. I mean, if we're having angst just as adults or whatever, I can't imagine if, and we do all have families, and having that conversation too, right? About, am I going to get vaccinated or not? Or what kind of vaccine? Like Genny was mentioning, and like we all know, because unfortunately social media has like tons of medical experts on there with all great information and so reliable, that causes panic and fear. Am I kind of correct? Genny? Charlotte? Come on, unmute your mic.
Well, I'll start, Kirsten and Genny. You can join in. You have to limit. I'm limiting how much news I'm watching. I can only talk for my family. My mother's been vaccinated, and her friends have all been vaccinated, and they all had a party because they're all down in Florida celebrating that they all got vaccinated. So that's Florida for you. But my mom did say that after leading up to this shot, her anxiety was quite heightened, and so were all of her friends, because they were all living in fear of catching COVID. Because everybody down in the States knows somebody who's passed away from COVID. I know here we're not seeing that as much, but down there it's a big reality. In fact, I got a text on the weekend about a friend, of acquaintance of mine, same age as me, and he's dead now from COVID. So that was a little bit hard for me as well. And I know that for my mom too, and my mother-in-law, they both will have to produce that they've been vaccinated to fly back to Canada. My mother-in-law recently came back from winter down in Phoenix. She went through Calgary. She presented her certificate. She had her COVID test upon arriving in Calgary, spent the 3 days in the hotel, had a second test, and then flew back to Winnipeg and isolated there. And the travel coming back was easy. Everybody was very thankful that she's been vaccinated through the process. And of course, she doesn't have COVID. And so she's now back living her normal life now back in Winnipeg, whatever normal is. I mean, because she's in her 80s. But she had anxiety as well leading up to it. So did her friends. They all were feeling the same thing. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to live with anxiety going forward, by not getting this the vaccination, because I mean, COVID's going to be like polio. It'll always be like when polio was prevalent, people were always living in fear of catching it. So my head goes to that as well. So I'm going to get vaccinated when I can. I know that I guess my age is up now, so I will be booking it because I want to go to Australia with Robin when we can, and I want to travel. Oh yeah, listen, look at her. And I want to be able to go to the gym, and I want to be able to live my life. So, Kirsten, do you want to add to this?
Yeah, it's interesting because in my family, where there's lots of anxiety, none of us have actually been anxious about getting the shot. It's really interesting. I haven't really paused and thought about that, but it's just kind of a no-brainer. And I get mine on Saturday, so I'm ready to go, and I'm excited about it. And we haven't really gone down that rabbit hole of conspiracy and what if. We've done our research, we've looked at the pros and the cons, and you're right, the chances of getting sick with COVID and having long-term side effects and like serious, even death is way higher than getting a blood clot through the AstraZeneca shot. So that's what I'm getting on Saturday. And it's interesting because we're all just very eager and keen to line up, but we also, in my family, we also see it as a bit of a duty to the community. We need to get ahead of this third wave. I don't think we have, really have the option to sit on it and fuss too much and wonder and then complain about lockdowns. And I mean, we either are in this to create change with this third wave coming and supporting the community how we can, or don't complain and don't go anywhere. That's my thought. But and it's interesting because my daughter has my youngest daughter, who still lives at home, has a long-term boyfriend, and his family chooses not to vaccinate on anything. So we have all these conversations, but I'm also always really aware of not to offend him too much. I mean, this is how he was raised. This is his family's beliefs, and that's that's their beliefs. However, I try not to offend him, but that's kind of on the front of my thoughts when these conversations are happening. I just texted her to let her know I got my shot appointment on Saturday, and she's like, "Yay!" And yeah, we're all celebrating that we can get the needle. We're in.
So she's going to get vaccinated, but her boyfriend won't. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, and they're probably not the first people like that or couples like that. And I'm going to welcome Susan too. Susan, have you been vaccinated?
No, not yet, but I was able to get my appointment yesterday because my age came up, and I'm going Thursday. So it took me literally 5 minutes to set up my account, make an appointment, and I took the first one available. So Thursday.
There you go. Easy peasy.
Excited. Very easy.
Well, we do have, Cynthia, it's not anything like what you have in England, but this new website called protectmb.ca, and that has all the information there. So yes, I'm registered too. So here's the big thing now. Okay, so they lowered the age to 40 to get AstraZeneca. If you are registered at the super site, it's Pfizer. And then, you're hearing all of the different things, and I realize that, but there's just as, and Cynthia, I just saw your comment there, it is FUD, because there's just so much information, and that, yes, I'm going to get it, but yeah, do I want to? I don't know. That's all these kind of little questions popping in my head, and now it's kind of boiled in me, and it's just like, well, why don't I just cancel my appointment at the super site and I can go to Shoppers Drug Mart and get my shot, or wherever, or Sobeys, or Costco. Or do I feel safer at the super site? I don't know. And we're all in lockdown, right? So it's not like when I asked Cynthia, so are you now like going to be just running around going crazy because I'm vaccinated? I don't know. Who can answer my question?
What was your question?
I don't know.
Like,
I'm
people like, I
confused.
don't know. Well, I guess the question was, do you stay at the super site or do you just go for it? like personally, I'm a big fan of what they're saying. Get the first one that comes up,
Yeah.
because look, it's anything is a gamble in life, right? I can walk outside and someone can drive their car and hit me, and I've probably got as much chance of that as something else happening through, a vaccine, and I've got a higher chance of getting COVID. So, but people have to weigh it up personally. Like, where does their anxiety fit with it? What feels best to them? But I like you've got to kind of sit and decide for yourself. Trust your gut. What does your gut say? Like, if you sit in it and you go, what do I do? What's your gut say? That's the place to trust for each individual.
I think that what the province should do, and this is just my personal opinion, but also I think I read something about this in the paper, that because there's that doubt, several of us have talked about, or I've heard several talk about, people not wanting to get the vaccine because they don't know, they don't trust, and what if. I think that the province should put out some advertisements or something, some community promotion, giving the facts. This is what happens if you get the vaccine versus this is what happens if you get COVID. So it's kind of two ways. One is almost like scaring people in a sense that, ooh, maybe I should get the vaccine because what if I get COVID and this is what could happen. But then also on the other side is, the benefits of getting the vaccine. You talk about community, you talk about protection, and so on. And so by giving them more information, because I don't think they're giving us, and don't get me started on their whole handling of this whole pandemic, but they're not giving the information. And so if they don't give you the information, then you're left wondering, well, okay, so what's going on? What do we do? And so I think that if people had more information about it, they might feel a little more ready to say, okay, you know what? Maybe that's not so bad. Maybe I should get that vaccine because of all of these really good reasons. That's just my take on it.
Any other comments in there? I just think too, everything has just happened so fast. Really, if you kind of think of it, even with the vaccines and how many there are already, when we know before pre-COVID, how long it would take for a vaccine to even come to fruition is years. So I think that too is riding on a lot of people's minds, but definitely this seems to be the only answer to get ahead of COVID. But yeah, it's information. I'd mentioned this website, protectmb.ca. You can go there, and it's trying to, like Genny said, I guess, provide some information and general information, and really it's really promoting for you to get your vaccine. And they are looking for stories like yourselves, Genny and Robin, to share with the public. And then again, it's to massage and whatever, and dissuade any of the anxiety and doubt, and say that, oh wow, if she can do it or he can get the shot, then yeah, I think I can do it. So that's sort of their way of doing it. But I know it's just, I think so much information, but without little direction. And social media, of course, doesn't help that much either.
You know what I find really interesting, if I can say this?
Yeah.
I've heard this conspiracy theories like all over the place about, the government's going to be tracking us seems to be the one that keeps coming up. And my head keeps going, well, I don't know about you, but like, I'm pretty boring. Like, there's no big giveaway happening over here. So what's going on in your house that's like a fear thing? Because I don't know. I keep laughing when people say that.
Oh, just wait. You'll get the extra juice shot, Kirsten. So then that just will make you go real crazy. And
maybe that's it. Maybe it will get really interesting around here.
Yeah, I know. Spice up something in your life. Get the jab. Oh, no. But I'm going to maybe change the topic a little bit, and we'll probably get back to it. Speaking of social media and big events that hopefully, everybody will be vaccinated so they can all go to the Olympics in Japan. Has anybody seen our wonderful Canadian uniform. Lo and behold, a jean jacket. Would you put that on, Robin? This is our closing ceremonies. Wonderful apparel. Oh, there's Susie.
I can't see the front of it, so I don't know.
Oh, see, well, okay. Do we have the front? Yes, we do. There's the front. I don't know whether it's worse, front or back.
Well, you know, it always seems to me like, you know, as a sporting person who used to play high level and have to wear like blazers and skirts, you know, I never enjoyed that. So like being a bit more casual, yeah, why not? But I don't know whether that's, I'm just
Okay.
not
Okay.
sure
So,
about
and
that
then
one.
let's see the American uniforms. If we can go back. That's not the American uniform. There we go. Like now, to me, that looks a little bit more.
Oh, that's
professional.
nicer. That's nicer. And you know, I'm hoping the Australians wear kangaroo skin ones. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, there have been a lot of fashion faux pas, but welcome, Susie. Okay, you know, you're on Miss Social Media. What do you think of that uniform for Canada?
I will not diss denim products. As you can see, I'm wearing my jean jacket today. And I think this is one of those things that is going to be a collector's item. So get yours while you can.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. Anybody else?
Sorry, I was just going to say the jean jacket. That's the Canadian. That's Canadian tuxedo, right?
Yeah, but I know it's an ode to Japanese street art, but me being Japanese, I'm almost a little offended. Like, I don't know. Kind of looks like, you know, a child got hold of that jean jacket and just went wild with some patchwork and some felt crayons and whatever. But Cynthia, have you seen, what does England's outfit look like?
I haven't seen England's outfit. You know, I'm kind of watching it to see who's going to keep dropping out.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, because of just the way things are going. I mean, I have a client who lives in Tokyo, and they said things are getting tighter and tighter and tighter because of the levels going up and everything else. So, you know, it's really intriguing as I talk with people around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's always a conversation piece of like what's going on the ground, right? Versus what you hear in the press or in social media. What's really happening? What are people experiencing? And in that case, it's like, I don't know, honestly, at this point, if there's actually going to be an Olympics. So I haven't really paid attention to what the UK is doing. They're definitely not jean jackets, but they're super hot here. And in fact, I keep on the back of my chair. This is the hot item these days, camo.
Camo.
But it's actually reused or repurposed designer military. Is it there? I have the Royal Air Force insignia. It still has some of the badges and everything on it.
Wow.
And then I got it custom embroidered on the back with bling. So that's kind of a hot item over here. So
Who knows? They might be all dressed in army fatigues. Hey, I don't know. That's fashion for you.
Yeah.
So Susie, we've been talking awful lot about vaccines and vaccinations, and you know, since they've dropped now the age group to 40, are you going? Are you?
Oh, yes. I'm getting mine tomorrow. Can't wait.
Oh.
Woo, woo.
Yes. And then your husband too?
He's already had his because he's actually immunocompromised.
Oh, okay.
So he was lucky enough to get his, I want to say a couple weeks ago, I believe at the beginning of this month. And then he has his second shot scheduled for June already. My parents got theirs last week. Thank goodness. That was a huge relief for me and my sister. So yeah, me and my sister are going tomorrow night.
Wonderful. Yes.
Yes, so excited. As I've said before, as I said on Twitter today, Gen X is going to save the planet once again. So yeah, go get your shots. Everyone's like lining up to get their fake ID for the bar, and we're all just like, woo, let's go. Yeah, I love it. I'm into it, totally.
Oh, so no conspiracy theories for you then, right?
Tracy? Have we met? Yeah,
I
no.
know.
I have no patience for that kind of stupidity. None. What was the great meme or saying that I saw the other day? The same people who think that the moon landing was fake think that we also had the technology to put DNA changing stuff in the vaccine. It's just wild. So yeah, I just laugh and it's just like, yeah, no, I'm good. I will trust the scientists and I will trust that we need this to get, to the other side of this pandemic, and hooray for medicine. It's why we're all here in some respect, and why our kids don't know about polio or measles or mumps or anything like that. And I am all for it. Pump it right in.
Bam, there you go. But it still kind of perplexes me or baffles me on how there are still naysayers, and not, conspiracy mongers or whatever, but clearly people that do not take the shot, that haven't before, saying,
There's always going to be like that, though, I think. And, anti-vaxxers are nothing new per se, right? It's just one of those things where, first of all, if you know the process for what vaccinations do, if you've listened to the experts, if you've watched, different explanations about how this is supposed to work, and, regardless of which version, the safest version you can get is the one that you can get. So, yeah.
Yeah. Susan,
I do have a friend who's working at the super site here.
Oh.
And he said that there's a lot of people who have just, burst into tears when they get their shot, because they're so happy and they're so relieved. And a lot of them have said, because it was the older people that were getting it, like, I am so happy I get to hug my grandkids again. And if our parents and grandparents can do it for us, then we can absolutely do it for them and for our kids too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we were talking about that too, is that, once you get vaccinated, what are your parameters? Well, of course, we're still all living in a lockdown.
Yeah, you still have to adhere. You're not safe right away, but you absolutely want to adhere to those protocols and everything that they tell you to still maintain, your masks and your distancing and your hand washing. It's not a superhero cape, it's just one step to getting everybody to that next step. So yeah, we still have to be vigilant. We still have a third wave that's coming. There's somebody I know, I just found out this morning, who's in hospital in ICU in Ontario. And that is very stressful and very upsetting. She's a mom of 2-3 young kids, just like I am, and she's fighting for her life right now. So this is not over, and it's nothing that we can be flippant about. We still need to be vigilant, and we still need to take care of each other.
Yeah, and I guess that just leads to, again, and I'll go to Susan being our positivity practitioner and thinking positive, Susan, through all of this. I mean, getting your shot and then still living in this kind of thing, and and especially if you're in a family environment with younger kids, or you're dealing with maybe aged elderly parents and stuff like that, there still are a lot of pressures just for us even to be on an even playing field, both mentally and physically. So things that I guess we can do in all of this.
Well, I would say, I know that every time anybody gets a vaccination, we're that much closer to having herd immunity or having some people protected. And it's that domino effect. If one person is protected, so are many, many others. So every time I hear of people who are excited about it and going to get their shot, I'm thrilled to hear that. From the positive side, I mean, I've seen that, sometimes, for myself, even just taking moments to accept where we're at. We're in a third wave, which I'm surprised that every time we have another wave, I'm surprised. But accepting it, taking deep breath and doing what we can and just keep moving forward. Eventually, we will come out of this in a different world. I think it's going to be a better world, but I think we're going through very much of a shaking up and a bit of a reckoning right now. So I have a lot of hope that it's going to be a better world on the other side of all this. At the same time, we do what we can. We influence who we can. We look after each other. We infuse some fun in each and every day. Get out with nature, doing something that makes you laugh, and just take it a step and a day at a time, because this is not an easy time. But the most important thing is that we do it together, because that's the best way to move through it. So,
Well,
times.
I'm just reading in the chat too, while Susan, you were talking. Cynthia, you're right. You know, you always are right. If we have live a life of acceptance, you know, along with those that do not want to take the vaccine or do not want to follow by the rules, you know, Cynthia's motto, acceptance without understanding, that is probably the best way. Otherwise, we'd probably all go crazy. To all of you ladies, should we just have totally locked down? And
No.
nope.
So, no.
No.
Genny says no.
I say yes. I've watched my country do it, and I've watched the results. They have a normal life right now.
Yeah. Charlotte?
You know, I'm agreeing with Robin. I know economically that's the toss up when you shut down, but I've been hearing what's going on in Australia and New Zealand, and we're still where we were at this time last year, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'm curious with the total shutdown because there are still people that I know who are evading and going against the recommendations, the health guidelines, what's, I'm not sure, lawful, but certainly they would be eligible for tickets and fines, and they're skirting it anyways. So even if we have a total lockdown, how do you avoid that? How do you avoid the people who are just going to go around it anyways?
So New Zealand and Australia did have some of those people who went around it anyway. New Zealand locked down for 6 weeks. You couldn't even get takeout from a restaurant, right? But they're all living a normal life now. And the issue to the economy, they locked down once. They've had a couple of very short lockdowns, but it's actually, it was so much cheaper than what we're doing here for the economy, like so much less impact the Australia and New Zealand economy than the way we've gone about this. Australia has less cases and less deaths for 25 million people than Manitoba has.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm staunch on that. I'm just like, what the hell are we doing? Playing this lockdown, open up a bit, lockdown, oh, open up, oh, not quite lockdown. Well,
yeah,
like it's harder on people's mental health to continually play this game, and I'm almost in tears because I watch people's mental health be completely screwed over by the way we're dealing with this. And I'm just like, why do we stay in this? Sorry, I'm going to stop talking now.
No, it would have to be a federal initiative, like this provincial, locking down. And it would also have to be a secure lockdown of the U.S. border. I mean, and I don't know what that would mean for goods transporting, but yeah, I'm totally with you, Robin. And then I also question on the idea that, just how it couldn't be done provincially. It would have to be done on a much bigger scale. And that would include something different with the U.S. border, with the transportation of goods and services and folks across.
I
Yeah.
think
Now,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Cynthia.
Well, you know, I've experienced that in 2 countries. I've experienced that in Colombia, where they did a complete lockdown, all flights canceled, everything else. That's why I was living there for 6 months. And it allowed the government to keep a cap on it until they kind of went from really closed to really open. And so the rates kind of went through the roof. But in the UK, we're just coming out of 4 months of serious lockdown. Now, the difference between what Colombia has done and what's happened in the UK is of course, different timelines. So vaccines are now available when they weren't originally when I was living in Colombia. And as they did that, they also didn't stop trade, and they didn't stop in either country. Trade needs to move. That's how we're getting food and other products. But it was also the fact that airlines coming in and, kind of people being sequestered into hotels to go through isolation. So in the UK, they're coming out of 4 months where they've implemented the hotel sequestering, which is what happens in Australia and New Zealand, but we also have the vaccine on top of it. So if you can combine all of those things, then it's worth it to go through the period of lockdown, get control, ramp up the vaccine program, and then create a plan to come out of it. And to Susan's point, there's always going to be dissenters to the process. And the question is, what do you do with them? Well, acceptance is you can't change them. So the only choice you have is to accept them. But you have no other choice because you cannot change them. And in doing so, you do have a choice after you accept them, and that is, do you want to interact with them in your world? And that could be immediate family. And you have to make hard decisions as to what you want to allow into your life. And that's the hard part about living a life of acceptance, is much like everything, every time we have a choice, there's a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, you can't change them. You can only accept them. But once you do that, you do have to then make a decision. Do you want them in your life the way that they are? And, I think that was to Robin's point. People will find out what their choices will result in what they're allowed to do or not do. Right now, the most obvious seems to be international travel for people that do not vaccinate will probably not be a reality for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's their choice.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It's just they don't get to do that and have everything else. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Jenny?
I think that if they do a lockdown again, it's going to decimate so many businesses. The small businesses for sure, like the restaurants and the small shops. It's going to be horrific, and I don't think many will be able to recover from it, regardless of how much funding they're getting from the government. And then when you look at Costco, for instance, and some of the like Walmart and so on, where's the social distancing? Where is the you should be wearing your mask, you should use a sanitizer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. It's just not equal across the board, because the smaller ones are getting punished almost for this. And even the gyms, like I teach fitness at a number of facilities. So before the lockdown, they were doing absolutely everything. Social distancing, sanitizing, 25%, 50%, whatever it is. You have to wear a mask while you're exercising, even as an instructor, wearing one while I'm teaching. And they were doing all of that, and they still shut it down. It's like, nope, we have to shut you down because. Like, again, if you bring in science, it's like, okay, give me the science behind why we have to shut down. And to Robin's point about, if the province, again, getting back, if they had done the complete lockdown first, done, let's do it, and then see how it is. But again, the up and down, it's like lockdown, no, yes, a little bit here and there. It's just very confusing. So I just think that would be, if we had to go through another lockdown, it would be horrible.
Yeah. What about you, Susie?
I tend to agree with Jenny, and that we seem to have people who want their cake and to eat it too all the time. And you can't have one without the other, right? So there are people who are like Jenny said, where are the enforcements when it comes to the bigger box stores like Walmart or Costco or whatever it might be, versus the little shops. And it's not as if solutions or innovations weren't or couldn't have been implemented for smaller shops. I mean, nobody can control their space like a smaller shop can, right? Like there's really no reasoning as to why they would ever have to be shut down in the first place, especially when you consider the footprint of what they have and how they're able to control that. You could even have booked appointments online to make sure that you're the only people in there. Like, this is not rocket science, right? At the same time, though, then you have these bigger box stores who, of course, also have, lobbying people. They have big bucks and they pay money to belong to associations and they, do those things and can get in touch with politicians. So, I mean, there's so much of that happening. And when it comes to, like Cynthia had said, when it comes to the travel and the lockdowns, well, okay, so we've stopped driving travel, but we never stopped air travel, really. We have people who were coming in from Mexico or Dominican Republic or wherever and like refusing to wear masks, refusing to quarantine when they come back. Like, what? Why are we allowing this? If you refuse, your fine should be double automatically, as far as I'm concerned. Like, that's ridiculous. There's no, what's the word? It's not even punishment, but there's no enforcement, and then there's no power behind the enforcement. Like, it's just words. We're just throwing things out there and seeing if they're going to stick, as opposed to really driving a hard line and saying, if you leave the country and you come back, you are absolutely not allowed into the country until you quarantine. Like, come on. We need to have some understanding that we live in a society and that we have to be responsible for our fellow human beings. And the people who are doing these types of things, unbelievable. Just zero regard for other people. It's quite appalling.
Well, and I think, and maybe I'll throw this out to all of you. I know that Susie, you have to leave, but I think the problem with that, and I've heard too, because it was in regards to the ticketing and the high price of ticketing, and I saw Cynthia's chat there saying, yeah, it's $5,000 for illegally entering the company or country, but it is not a law. These are not laws. And it baffles me because they can make vaccines and push them through so fast, but they can't make, probably it'll be 3 simple laws regarding travel, regarding, private residency, and where people are, and large gatherings at churches and weddings. And they should be laws, and then they can be enforced. These are restrictions, suggestions, and
yeah. And as usual, you're relying on the good nature of people to abide by those.
Exactly.
And we are seeing that there's a lot of people who do not possess that trait, don't care at all, and they're willing to buck the system and just don't care. See what you can do to me, because they know that there's nothing behind it, right? Whereas the rest of us are just like, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. The other people are just like, well, I can, I'm going to, and you can't stop me. And with that, I have to pop out, loves.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Susie, for that. Okay. Well, all of those people that are thinking they're getting away with it, Susie's watching you. So you're in trouble. She's going to come after you. But it's so true. Yeah, go ahead, Genny.
No, I was going to say, I actually had a conversation about this with my husband the other day. And if you think about, so right now, if you are caught without a seatbelt and if you're caught texting, the fines have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he suggested that the fines for, all these not wearing a mask or not doing what you're supposed to be doing should be double. Hit people where it hurts. And yes, there's that what Susie was saying that some people's like, you can't enforce it, so I'm going to do whatever I want. So in addition to the increase in fines, have those people enforcing it. Give that. I don't know what the answer is, but it's like, and again, start announcing this, that if you are not doing this is what it's going to cost you.
And maybe make them go public. And can we kind of find the people who walk the wrong way in the malls?
Oh, I've actually said that to a few people, and they give me this, finger basically, and none of your business. And
yeah, I know. So, for all the money that all of these stores, grocery stores, have put those footprints on there and everything, and I know. Anyways, that was my pet peeve.
The interesting thing with regards to fining and fining more is that sadly sometimes it doesn't always work. I used to do focus groups for high-risk drivers, people who speed excessively, people who don't wear their seatbelt, and those who really want to do it and really want to speed and love that excessive speeding will do it. The more the money they have, the more they can spend on fines. They think it's a great thing. It's bizarre that that's just their approach. And so raising the fines is not necessarily going to sadly be enough of a deterrent. Perhaps posting names in paper and publicly might might do it. But the fines, from what I've seen in my work historically, doesn't always do it. So
That's so
Yeah.
Hey,
sad.
I have a question for everybody, and
Mhm.
I did this once, and I just want to poll the group and see if anyone else has done this. But I live down and around the corner from a store, and I was running there to get something, and I ran into the store, and all of a sudden I didn't have my mask on, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, and I was so embarrassed, and I had to go back out and find my mask. Okay, but am I being? And I would never intentionally do that, and I left immediately. Has anyone else done that, or am I the only one who's done that?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
I've done that when I've come back from a walk with my dog and I walk into the apartment, my mask is in my pocket, and I go to get in the lift and I'm like, oh shit. But there's so many people in my goddamn apartment building that don't wear masks. I wanna punch them. I wanna say, what the is wrong with you? And I'm just like, what's the point? I think about a quarter of the people I see wear masks in my apartment building. I'm
Really?
like, I think I should charge you with murder if I die. But you know, what do you do?
That's interesting. Are they younger people in your place or a mix?
No, it's a whole mix, and I don't get it. There's signs everywhere, and I'm clear that they don't enforce it here. But it's like, what's wrong with you? Why do you get to do that?
So, and they're obviously going to their place of work or wherever they're going without a mask then too. Or they just decide, or they have a mask in the car and wherever they're going, they wear their mask, just not in
You know,
your apartment
they
block.
don't appear to want to wear it here. There's a bunch of people that don't wear it in my apartment block.
You should just take their pictures.
Which company is that? Sunrix. Oh, sorry. Did I say that? Did I say that out loud, that it was a Sunrix property?
Oh, well, I think you should just take their pictures, you know, just say, thinking you're on your phone and then just post them.
Shaming.
Mask.
Shaming people. There we go.
Yeah, well, hey, and what a better way, right? For not wearing your mask.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Tracy, you know, it's intriguing. The conversation's really intriguing because it actually aligns with. I watched the documentary last night. It was on the BBC with Greta Thunberg, and it was an up-to-date one because it was about kind of what happened last year and everything else. And she ended up meeting at the end of it with Sir David Attenborough, who of course has been a longtime proponent of the environment. And it was just really intriguing, but she said something that was so profound that of all the many things that she said. And I think it relates here is that she broke down and was crying on camera when she said, we've lost our public empathy, right? And I see that here, that people they've really built that kind of empathy to, and I don't know, maybe you have to be an island country to understand this idea of having to build kind of national empathy with it. So, you know, with New Zealand and Australia and here in the UK, and, you know, they talk about, I don't remember all the things because the government kind of has this series, you know, which is, you know, like wear a mask or get the jab, save the NHS, you know, kind of idea. And it's all about the betterment of all of us. And it's about the empathy for us as a community, not me, the individual. Yeah.
That's interesting, Cynthia, because I teach effective oral communications, and it's ironic that in my class yesterday, we were talking about empathy. You know, the difference between sympathy and empathy, and basically, it's empathy is the glue that holds society together. Yeah.
very interesting. Well, I mean, that's certainly a word that we've been throwing around for a year now. And certainly seen it in all of its many shapes and forms. And wow. Okay, so I'm I'm all pumped. I'll get my shot. Next week we'll have like, we'll all be ready, and to party, and I don't know, yeah, maybe we can all be in the same room. I think that would be great. But anyways, thank you so much for joining again. It's been a wonderful time, and next week's going to be a mixed bag. I want to talk about childcare, because obviously the budget came down and it's been a huge thing, but how it's evolved into so much more and what it means, and I want to talk about sort of the mental health of women between 35 and 55 that are in that age bracket where they've had to. Why is that so funny, Charlotte? Charlotte's just laughing and giggling, and I'm trying to be. There must be something more behind this, but anyways.
It was Robin's eyebrow that went up to the large age group of women. She's like, where are you going with this one, Tracy?
I know. Hey, if I can let you ramble, you can like just sit there and going, where the heck is she going with this one?
I wasn't saying anything. I just
You don't have to say anything. Yes. I missed that because your screen is so small and it's so far away from me. I can't see. I know. I'll probably have to get the glasses next. Okay. So anyways, just the mental health and all the different issues for all of those women in that age bracket. So think about some of the things. Oh, Robin, stop it. Okay, go out and play in the snow. Enjoy your cool Tuesday, and let's hope that it's warm by next week. My goodness, I think this would help raise a lot of pandemic spirits. Okay, have a wonderful
Thanks,
Tuesday.
Tracy.
Bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Cynthia.